Success in life isn't what you know, it's how much you're prepared to rip in and have a go. I mean, knowing things is obviously important. Yeah. Like, you can't judge the size of someone's motor. And in life, that's everything.
The guy I went to school with had a tattoo on his arm. I remember it clear as day now, which is good, better, best, never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. And I think you just have to keep trying to get better.
When you lose that confidence, it's about finding what makes you tick again. It's about putting things into perspective and going back to the process.
If your business isn't going forward, it's going backwards because everyone around you is going forward. So if you're not, you're going backwards.
Yep. Talent's important, but discipline is more important, because your fallback position in life, if you got the ability, has to always be disciplined. Yeah. Or else you end up just not quite getting to your potential, right?
Yeah. I've had heaps of good advice, Sam, but at the end of the day, dream big, possibilities are endless. And just believe in yourself.
Do or do not, there is no try, which means if you're going to do something in life, just do it, back yourself. Otherwise, don't do it at all. There's no trying if you're not 100% in.
All right, Aaron, William, Myrtle, Lucifer, Brooks.
James Bartholomew.
Yeah, we are back with another episode of the GOAT podcast.
Now, you ready for it?
Let's
go.
Mate,
seriously, the amount of absolute nonsense.
Mate, it's exciting to have Luke Burton.
BBB, Big Bad Birdo.
He's here with us. Now, we've changed podcast layers. Our last one, Brooksy, got inundated with fanfare, so we've had to take it to the suburbs.
Oh, all of the people out the front waiting for your signature.
Exactly. So, mate, here we are. We're in 7 Shire Street, Cooperoo, one of the beautiful properties we have on the market at the moment. Lovely to be here. But welcome, Luke.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And, mate, we know that you're one of the busiest human beings on the planet, so to sacrifice at least probably 2/3 of your day to drive down from Wano and...
Just wanted to see you, beautiful gentleman.
Oh, that's a little bit sweet. Look at you go.
I'll blush.
But hey, much appreciated, mate. We know how busy you are, and I guess you've sacrificed a bit of time today to be able to be on, I guess, the podcast and share your great knowledge with lots of people that will be listening and what have you. And it's interesting that we talk about the word sacrifice, because you listen to a lot of real estate podcasts, and you listen to a lot of podcasts, and very rarely does anybody talk about sacrifice. I guess that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, right.
You're Luke Sacrifice Burton.
Okay.
You've made it your middle name.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the sacrifices that you've made.
It's not the order
I know
of
it's
the
not
order
the order of any questions, but we want to keep these things real, right?
Yeah. Sacrifice, I think, is you hear it in a lot of interviews or podcasts. I think you have to plan your sacrifice, which might sound a little bit funny or silly, but if you don't know what you're going to sacrifice, going through the process, I suppose, trying to be a good agent, when the shit hits the fan or it gets tough, it'll hit you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Versus, like I did with Rach, my wife, we had a conversation about what it was going to take or what was likely to pop up that was going to be a bit of an issue, and then what we had to sacrifice. And it is it's not just me, because she runs the household and probably busier than I am, to be honest. But we planned that. So I think the sacrifice is, it's not just the word sacrifice, it's planned to sacrifice, in my opinion. Might sound a bit corny, I don't fucking know. But
no, I think you choose your sacrifice, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think unless you choose it, or if you don't do that when it does happen, it is a hell of a lot harder to deal with, because you don't know what's coming, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a discussion when you and I sit down and have our chats that hasn't revolved around your family. I know how much you love your family, and you do this for them, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And that can be a real challenge in itself, because when you got little kids, and I know Rach is so understanding, but how do you explain to the little ones that the reason Daddy's away so much is because he's working hard for us?
Well, that was the sacrifice. So Nate, my youngest, is 4.5, nearly 5 probably. He was what's that for? He was two, maybe 2.5 when we started this process. So the sacrifice was not seeing the kids after school or dinner or bedtime for 3 or 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
And whilst the other two, Ad and Harvey, understood it a little bit because they're a little bit older, Nadie definitely didn't. And, there's some pretty shit times. Like I missed him talking for the first time, which I struggle a little bit talking about. Start the podcast nice and emotional, but I got home one day and he met me at the doorstep, and said hi, and I picked him up, and he said, "Daddy works for me."
Yeah, we spoke about that. I think we both nearly cried at the time.
So where the issue or where the planned sacrifice comes into it was that, but I didn't know that he could string a sentence together.
Oh.
I knew that he could say mum and dad and a bum or we or whatever, but I didn't know that he could string words together. That's how much I say we, like all of us were committed in my journey or are committed in my journey, but that's how much we went hard, and that particular moment brought me unstuck in a big way, and we dialed it back a little bit from there from an hour's point of view. But that was the planned sacrifice, and it still hit me like a fucking ton of bricks when it happened. So, but this process is what it's all about, making family ultimately, kids, wife,
Yeah. And I think sometimes the perception of the general public can be because someone's a real estate agent, they're a robot or they're stereotyped as being that type of individual. Mate, at the end of the day, you're a good quality human being, a good man, a good husband, a good dad, a good friend. And I think, opportunities like this where people get to see it real and raw is critical for me.
Cheers. Thanks for the compliments.
No worries,
Take
buddy.
Where's it all come from, Luke? You started in the industry 20 years ago or
maybe
more,
a bit shy,
perhaps.
maybe. I'm not
a
really
bit shy,
sure,
but a long time ago, having known you for as long as I have, I know your dad, Jack.
He's a hard man.
He's a great man though, but he was in real estate as well.
He was a stock and station agent, as was his dad beforehand. So
you're third generation.
Yeah, I think I could be fourth generation maybe. I've still got dad's real estate sign that's at work at the Wano office. A nice bit of asbestos that's painted up and sign written.
Sealed, of course.
Sealed, of course, absolutely,
Workplace health and safety people listening.
Yeah. So I guess it's probably in the blood, I suppose, but
Was your dad a hard worker?
Yeah, he'd come home, and it was the days before mobiles were there, and he sold farms in country New South Wales, and he'd come home at whatever time, and we'd say hi to Dad, give him his stubby, and then he'd go into his office and call all the farmers on their landlines because they didn't come in till dark.
Yeah.
And then he'd come out and have dinner at 8 o'clock at night and go to bed and do it all again the next day.
Yeah, wow.
So I guess growing up had a pretty fair idea what was required work ethic wise, which I think underpins everything that we're probably going to talk about today.
Yep.
Had a pretty good idea what was required.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good to have all of the skill and mate, you have that in abundance. But you see so many people in life, in any profession, high levels of skill, but just don't have the motor to go with it. And I think, this is a business where you do need to have high levels of skill, but you need to have even higher levels of will, right?
Yeah.
Like the will to want to work, the will to want to perform, to exceed expectations. Like the motor's so critical, right?
I think that underpins a few of the things that we'll talk about, but I think the skill side of it you can learn.
Yep.
Is what you guys do with the amount of training that we do. But the work ethic is by far one of the main cause.
Yeah, I remember so vividly my rugby coach in under 13s telling me that, Sam, I can teach skill, but I can't teach courage.
Courage?
Yeah.
You've got that in abundance.
Yeah.
Sam. What are you talking
He
about?
wasn't talking about me.
Not being the triple threat, mate. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, so, but from a discipline side, mate, you've got that in absolute spades. You spent 20 years building a career in Brisbane. You owned your own agency independently. Then you were in a franchise group. Then you made a quite courageous decision in my eyes to move from Brisbane, where you'd been working in real estate, well-resourced, well-known, and you move to Tawantin, which probably has only just come on the real estate map, and you chose to set your family up in Tawantin. So take me back to that thought process, because perceivably you're a man at the peak of your powers, and then you've had to go from a man at the peak of your powers, well respected within Brisbane, known in his community for selling real estate, to an area where did you know anyone?
No, no one. No family, no friends, no relative. I didn't know my fucking neighbour's name when we moved there. Like we knew no one.
Do you know it now?
Just.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Usually see through the bathroom window.
What was the dude in the movie? Where you
Wilson.
Wilson. Was it Wilson? Could be Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim
Well-
the Toolman Taylor. It was a TV show, but anyway, we'll go.
Sorry, mate. What was the question?
No, so what? Why make the decision to go from the peak of your powers to rebuilding?
I think,
Tawantin?
peak of the powers is a generous reference. Thanks. Depending how deep we want to go, we shifted. I went from Burton and Ryan. We sold our rent roll, and then went back to Bell to run an agency, and then we had to shift. It was just probably quite a stressful time with what we had to do, and we had a third kid in all of that process. So went over a year or two time frame, and I'd made a promise to Rach that I was going to take a good chunk of time off for the third kid. At the same time that this franchise did a $200K fit out for an office that I had the first right of refusal on for 2 years and had to run. It was the only company owned office in Queensland, and along with that comes a fair bit of pressure. With check-in calls from the CEO, which whilst they were okay calls, there's still a fair bit of pressure in that in itself, along with taking no time off for my third kid. I think that created a fair bit of stress. Came out in probably a fair bit of anxiety as well, which then turned to a bit of agitation, and I probably didn't handle it very well. So we moved probably more from I don't want to say balance, because it's not like we've got any better balance now. We're just doing it at the coast. But I think I underestimated what was required to do that at my particular time in life. And within 60 days' time, we'd bought a house under the hammer, sold the house under the hammer, and resigned. It was a relative. We'd always holidayed in Noosa, so it's not like it was rare. And Tawantin, we chose Tawantin purely based on numbers for turnover.
Yeah.
It wasn't a guess. It was an educated guess, I suppose. Just a numbers thing. Turns out it's worked pretty good, I suppose. But the thought process was, it was just time for a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it takes, and your career was going well. I mean,
yeah, we didn't. We weren't setting the world on fire with deals like the great Ryan Bang Bang Holzel and I. Did between 300 and 400K a year. We had a rent roll of 330 odd.
Yep.
We sold that, moved out. I shifted to another agency, and kept the friendship with him, which is super important to me. Alive, which is good. Doesn't often happen. But I've completely forgot the fucking question.
Yeah, well, you probably already answered it.
Yeah.
In terms of what keeps you going, like one of the things that I admire about you, I know Sam's the same, is you're faced with a lot of things that most people aren't faced with, and we obviously won't go into the detail of those things, but you have some challenges like all of us, personally, and the admiration that we have for you, just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just get back to work again. That's a real credit to you.
It's difficult.
How do you do it? Well, let's be real. How do you do it?
I'm yet to figure it out, I suppose. I think the one thing that I've learnt with you guys, or the change in regions, or from a CBD, from a city to a regional area, is the certain amount of things that you've got to do that we all should do in real estate, the prospecting activities, the layering. That's what runs my business. And if I don't do that, I don't build my pipeline, or I'm not doing it for now. It's, 60, 90, 120 days, the the long term, but I just know that regardless of how I feel or what's happening or whatever's going on, if I don't do those calls, I'm going to feel it.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shift mentality-wise, because we all can have bad days, bad weeks, maybe a bad month, I'm not really sure. But if you stop doing those things that have got you there, then it's going to bite you in the arse.
But that's where the real courage comes from, right? Hey, you know, to not feel your best, have other stuff going on like happens in life, but to turn up, work hard, be focused, be committed, and do the things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you do it because you know it's right.
Yeah. I think it's just doing those, like, you know, I've said to myself, I've kicked in the guts a few times this year, but like the calls that I made last week, my 180, 90 calls that I make every week to my database, I know it takes me 5 or 6 hours to do, and I've just got to get my shit together for 5 or 6 hours if I'm not feeling it. And I do it. And if I'm not doing it, I'll often go down to the river and take my laptop and you know, sit in my car or sit on a park bench and hit it out looking at the beach or at the river or whatever it is. And I think, I don't know, maybe a mind shift changed, but I know that's what got me there from, 3 years ago when we started this process. So there's no way in fucking hell that we're stopping doing that.
Yeah. And I think, credit to you, because I think most people go searching for motivation before taking action, but action precedes motivation 9 times out of 10. So you actually starting to make your calls and get yourself together for 5-6 hours is credit to you, because most people are sitting there waiting for this magic dust of inspiration and motivation to actually make one phone call where, the best operators, in my opinion, make the phone calls, and then that actually spurs more activity and more phone calls because they understand the importance of it. But rebuilding a business from zero. So, what process did you undertake?
Starting again was something that I didn't think was going to be that hard, to be honest, which is such a stupid fucking comment to make because it was pretty brutal. But I knew if I started again or starting again, I was going to do it all right. And I guess what I mean by that is everything that everyone tells us, principals, directors, coaches, podcasts, Eric, all of the real estate gurus tell us basically all the same thing that no one ever really fucking does. That's why they have these things over and over again that people pay a heap of money for. So I knew it was going to be focused around data, the layering side of it with your farm areas, but very, very focused around clean data and consistency, which has worked quite well. Like I've got 74% of Tawantin's data clean and verified. In my database, I've got 60% of their emails, which is the main focus this year to build the email side of things. I've got a monthly email that goes out to the suburb that has a 99.8% land rate and open rate, and it just puts a smile on my face every time I see those stats, and that's what I've built it off.
Yeah.
I mean, you came to us already really proficient at what you do, and obviously a lot of people go, how did you do it, Berto? And your response obviously is just follow what Sam said to do and the Level Up program. I had an idea.
Set the tone, mate.
Set the tone, mate. Come on.
You give a guy a rap and that's what you get.
I had a very good idea of what I wanted to do. Sam had a process, I suppose, systems processes that's referred to as set the tone in HPC. I knew what I wanted to do. You fine-tuned it. I then doubled it, and that has been. I haven't stopped that since day one. I still do it today.
And that's great that kicking goals, but you still go back to the basics every day, right?
Yeah, that's. And I guess that's, when we talk about interviews or podcasts or training sessions or coaching, when I started again, like obviously data and this little system that we do, but it is all the same shit that everyone has always told us what to do, but no one does it, including me when I was in Brizzy. I was somewhat of a generic agent. I didn't set the world on fire. We did okay, but, we weren't breaking records. But I knew when I started again, it was going to be data orientated, with a set system that we were just relentless on. And that's put us where we are today. So it's not easy. It hasn't been easy, but yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's good, right?
Yeah.
Good, it's not easy.
No, it's not, and it
If
isn't.
it was,
No.
everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
And there'd be absolutely no money in it.
Yeah.
And that's why there's an 80-20 rule in real estate, right?
Yeah.
80% of people earn 20% of the
Yeah.
money and 20% earn 80% of the money. And that just comes down to how hard you're willing to work for it.
Yeah, and I think it's a flicking the switch, when starting in a fresh area where you know no one, literally no one, into a business that didn't have a great deal of residential runs on the board, good commercial operation, a little bit of resi, but, we started from scratch.
Yep.
And the set the tone and, a fair bit of grunt has built up.
I think the thing I love about it the most is that you had all the knowledge. So you knew how to be a real estate agent. You'd done all the training before. You knew exactly what you had to do, but you still took a process and a structure and you made it your own without trying to second guess it or go, I've got a better way. Because I see lots of new people join our industry and they go, no, I don't have to make a phone call. I don't have to do this or I don't have to do that. This is how I'm going to get business. It's going to be social media and Instagram and all of this sort of stuff. And they don't have the knowledge that you had. And so an experienced agent after 20 years comes in and goes, well, I'm going to make 150 calls a day. Because I know in that first year, you would often, with your associate Zeke at the time, would be back there on a Friday till 8 o'clock at night because you hadn't hit 500 calls for the week. So talk to me about those real early days because my system, will set the tone is 150 calls, right? That's what it says.
Yeah.
150 door knocks, 150 letterbox drops. You went to 500.
300.
300. You
500
doubled it.
sounds good though.
Double.
Yeah, 300.
And you obviously just set that to your limitations and someone like Berto was better, so he just doubled it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I often say, though, that Berto skipped one part of it, which was door knocking. And I've now adopted the Berto rule, which is, well, if you're not going to door knock, it's 300.
Yeah.
So,
It works.
that's the law of Burton. He's now got his own section in the set the tone. But mate, how did you? What changed in you to go? Well, this is just what I've got to do because you had all the knowledge. You already knew how to be a real estate agent.
I think the train of thought was just to do it right, do everything that everyone has told all of us real estate agents, and podcasts and technology and social makes it so much more available than say coaching from your directors or training sessions. Whatever ones. There's a lot of them these days, but I just wanted to put in play what all of these experts have told us for years and years.
I think the key for my observations are you're coachable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a little bit of understanding. Like I am because I'm far from the expert in my opinion, and there's a lot of better agents out there than I am. I think I just wanted to see if it worked. Like I've given ultimately a career to this industry besides 4 years pretending to be a mechanic, but I wanted to see whether I could get the goal's 2 mil plus to get to the top. I don't know what that is, 2% of the country's probably. I wanted to see how quick I could do it by doing what everyone says to do, and it hasn't been a cakewalk, but we're on our way.
Touching on your mechanics though, right? Like it's the mechanics of real estate because I take it when you're a mechanic, and I don't know any, I couldn't. I'd be lucky to change my car tyre, right? So
Fair call.
We've never changed a nappy.
yeah. So I definitely don't protest to be a mechanic, but I imagine that when you are fixing a car, there's like one way to do it.
Yeah,
There's probably not a lot of different ways, and so you've just applied a process.
Yeah, and I think that process, we're talking about setting the tone, the set the tone, I should say, is ultimately exactly what that is, which is layering, of course. But I think it's a little bit more in depth than that. And I know on that questions that you've got is the fundamentals, which I'll roll into.
Yeah.
Because whilst you can make your phone calls, your brochures, your letters, your door knocks, I think that's all of it. You can have a system and a procedure for all of that, but I think there's 4 key fundamentals that are underpinned by 2 other things as well, and they're all going to be very cliche, which we all know. But I think with a little bit more explanation, it probably helps. And I think probably would have made no difference to me when I was in Brisbane, but explained a bit better how they all line in with each other is probably beneficial to people. But everyone talks about consistency. It's an absolute no-brainer. You need to be consistent, right? But you need the discipline to be consistent, because if you don't have the discipline, you can't be consistent.
Agreed.
If you then need resilience to bounce back, but if you're not consistent, you don't need resilience because you won't have a need for it. If you're not disciplined enough, you won't be consistent to need resilience.
Yep.
And then the fourth is that planned sacrifice.
Yep.
Because if you do need all of those, the discipline to roll in to be consistent, then to bounce back with the resilience, while you're doing all of that, and that sacrifice comes into play. If you've planned for it, it will be easier. What that is underpinned by is work ethic and a little bit of help with the mental health. That might not be for everyone, but it's definitely for me.
Yep.
As you know, I struggle a little bit from time to time.
The good thing is, if I just butt in here, apologies for that. I think talking isn't a weakness, right?
No, I think it's a superpower.
Oh, it's an absolute superpower. I think it's one of yours, mate, to be vulnerable enough to be able to sit down and go, hey, listen, I'm not right at the moment. Let's have a chat. You don't come any more manly than being able to share your emotions with someone who can help you try and fix it, right?
Yeah, totally. I think it's a big part of
whether
what...
that's me, Sam, whoever.
Yeah. I think it's a big part in that process, and I think it depends on the stage of life that you're at. Like, I've got 3 kids under 10. My superpower is probably more my wife than anything else, because she's the fucking superstar by a long shot. But if you're living at home with your mum, I'd kill everyone I know to be back in that position. And doing what I do now.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not without a wife and kids for the reference page, whichever camera we're looking at. Might cut that out, I reckon.
We all know what you meant.
But still, that person.
If you had no responsibilities
Yeah.
and knew what you were doing now and knew that it worked, how big of an operator you could be if you only had this to worry about.
But you know what? We all get told that.
Yeah.
We get told that it works.
Yep.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can't make it drink. I was to a point one of those. Yeah, we had a business. We had a rent roll, 20 odd people under employment, which was great. Highs and lows like any other business. But we had fun and learned a shitload. But someone that's got 3 little kids, starting in a new town from zero and from scratch versus someone that maybe has a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Talk about sacrifice. There's not a sacrifice there.
Yeah.
It comes, but that also comes with levels of maturity, right? Like Gradle's saying, you can't put an old head on young shoulders. And sometimes as a young person, and this necessarily isn't about age, some people are just immature or older, they don't learn some of these things until later on in life. When it's not until you get to your position now where you look back and you go, if I didn't have a partner and I didn't have children, imagine what I could do. It's easy to say, but the fact is that you probably have other distractions.
Yeah,
but
of course.
In saying that, what makes you today is all of that, right?
Yeah.
Because that builds discipline,
Yeah.
consistency, resilience.
Yeah.
They're all the core fundamentals that you have as a man that has put you in the position that you are today.
Yeah, and all the lessons from the time in Brizzy with Burton and Ryan or whoever, they're the lessons that you learn. And then obviously you guys go through with culture and managing different personalities and that sort of jazz, which is a world of fun.
Yep.
And so now, mate, it's flipped from trying to get new, trying to meet people in a new town. You now have what was 74% of Tawantin on a database. So now you're what I would call the database and pipeline master because it's always sat within Set the Tone, but then no one's actually taken it, Set the Tone to the level you've taken it.
Yeah.
And so you and I and Aaron around your mental health have definitely had to work on what this pipeline and database management system looks like. So for those, you know, and not to talk in riddles with people, but what is your pipeline management like? What's your database management like? What are the sort of key things if there's a real estate operator at home who might have an okay database or an okay pipeline, what are the things that you would focus on, and what are the things you focus on now?
It's just consistency ultimately what we do. So we call it quarterly. We send a message out that's got a quarterly update on it. And then I call the next day that says, you know, hey, Sam, checking in to make sure you got the update we sent yesterday. And if Victoria answers the phone for argument's sake, because it's under Sam and Victoria Devlin, while we're making that phone call, I change that lead name to Victoria from Sam. And at the same time, I change the email as well. So when it gets sent to Victoria, it says Victoria and Sam. We do that for every contact that needs changing. When we call, we change it. So it's cleaned basically quarterly. And it is, because there's data in and there's data out. We don't have any, I suppose we have a small percentage of dirty data that everyone does, but it starts with that phone call. Every single person I connect with gets a thank you note. Thank you for your time on the phone. If we can help in the future, if anything pops up unexpectedly, feel free to reach out. They get 2 DL brochures in the mailbox every month. They get a monthly Taunton update on email. The interaction with that email lasts for about 2 weeks. It's not just a 24-hour thing, so we track that very heavily on who's playing around with it or forwarding it or opening it or what articles or, you know, whatever it is. We door knock Taunton. I don't door knock Taunton. My team door knocks Taunton twice a year now. And that's my database. And then the pipeline side of it, we're very, very detailed with the pipeline, to the point where we run a different program for the pipeline exclusively. There's currently 256 people on that pipeline, that is split between ultimately 2 different categories. Let's say 3. There's 2 main ones that are 0 to 3 month sellers and 3 to 12 month sellers. However, in those 2 categories, there's a confirmed and a not confirmed. Someone might say that they're downsizing depending on the health of Sam's mother or, you know, whatever it is, and they go to the not confirmed, but we interact with them like they're selling. And then I have a 0 to 30 day pipe, and then I have a hesitation pipe. So the 0 to 30 days is a no-brainer. We interact with those guys intimately, basically, in every possible way that you can think of. And then the hesitation is if someone has hesitated on the phone, it's a bit of a no-brainer with the name of the pipeline. And if I ask if they've got any plans down the track, we never ask if they're selling now. We ask later in the year, or, you know, if it's September, we ask if they've got any plans for early next year, depending on what time of year we're calling. Never look for something immediate. It's all the long game. I'd rather a pipeline lead than I would with an instant seller. I'm going to be able to deal with that relationship a lot better, and probably go in uncontested when the time comes. But the hesitation is if someone says, no, I'm not selling. No, I'm not selling. There could be something there.
Okay.
So we put them in the hesitation category, because then I know it doesn't muddy my waters with what is actually on my pipeline. And I track that daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been lots of real gold in that for real estate people. I mean, I just want to come from the perspective of, you know, there's somebody sitting and watching this podcast that's looking to select an agent. You know, if anyone lives in Taunton or thereabouts, there's real value for them in having a conversation with you, right? Not only because you've got all the skills under the sun, but you actually genuinely care about the outcome for your client and deliver value, right?
Yeah, we try.
So, you know, what's your statement around that?
It's probably a little bit cliche, but, you know, we don't want the guys to be a number on the wall. We want to make a difference. You know, whilst it's a people game versus a property game, in my opinion, you know, I like being part of the deal. I like, that process of buying and selling is a huge step in anyone's life, no matter what age they are, and knocking that out of the park and being a part of that process is pretty cool. So we like that, and I think we're good at what we do. So I don't, of course I think I'm the option of so you go a long way to try and find somebody better in that market to actually genuinely look after the best interest of their client, work hard and do the right thing. I think we know where the suburbs going as well. Like Tewantin's changed drastically. Yeah, was the little brother of Noosa, and that has changed hugely over the last 2 years, and we've been a big part of that. We hold the records for the highest house and the highest land sale as well. And we know where that's going. We know our stats. We know the growth. We know everything intimately. We put an enormous amount of time into that suburb.
One of the things I love about Luke and our Noosa business as well is that I think, you and I spoke about it when we were going up to Noosa, that this will be an interesting exercise for us because the Brisbane real estate market is really quite professional. So people treat it like a full-time job, and you're not a typical Sunshine Coast real estate agent who potentially wakes up, goes for the surf, and relaxes into their day. Like you treat this seriously like a business, which I think for the rest of the marketplace, like if I was a agent in Noosa, Tewantin, in that area, listening to Luke, I'd be going far out. I'd have to sharpen up pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of part-time agents in Noosa. And that's obviously what they want to do, which that's great. That's their thing. But there is a couple of guys that treat it like a career and like a business, and guys that we compete against as well. And it's it's good to have some healthy competition. There's some absolute clowns up there, but there's some good guys that are doing some good things as well. So Noosa's so different to Brisbane, so different. Like it's I would say 70% of the real estate agents up there are pretty casual operators.
Yep. Except for ours. But Birdo, one of the other sides, this obviously all takes a toll, right? Heavy burden. To give Brooksy a credit, he's the mental skills coach.
He's the mental management of Luke Burton.
Yeah, he is the emotional communicator within our business. So what emphasis do you place on your habits and routines around not only speaking to Aaron, but how do you get yourself ready for the day, and what processes has AB taken in all of that to get your headspace right? Because you are one of the more massive overthinkers I've ever met.
I reckon he's just an over-carer, right?
Yeah, mate, no.
An over-feeler.
Funny story, though, because we were having a chat about it one day. We were talking about, I said to Bert, I said, what does your morning look like? And he goes, well, I set my alarm for this time, and then I hit snooze. And I said, okay, then what do you do? And he goes, I'll snooze for a bit, and then I get up, and I'm like, okay, so basically you start every day with a fail.
And I haven't pressed snooze fucking since.
And but there's little things like that, isn't it? Like, don't set yourself up for failure. Yeah. And there's very few people that I can actually say that to, mate. Like, realistically, I can say that to you because we're just honest with each other about it. But, I mean, I love how you take your health and well-being seriously. Like, you get in your ice bars. You tell me you're still consistent with that. Getting your walks in, getting your podcasts in. All of those things are the hard challenge for being a real estate professional, a husband, a dad. All of those things. You got to also find time for you.
Yeah, I struggle.
But that's like my time for me is like at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah, because it's the only time that I got to myself, so I have to get up and do that. But you're the same, right? Just try and get ugly early.
Yeah. I think trying to tie it all in together is a challenge in itself. But it can, from an overthinking point of view, it can be, if you're trying to do it all right, if you're trying to nail it on the real estate side of things, and you're trying to be active and stay healthy, and like I walk 3.5 Ks most mornings, do an ice bath after the walk, and then dinners and breakfasts and kids' lunches and that sort of shit. And then eating healthy.
Yep.
I haven't drank for 3 years, or just shy of 3 years. All of that adds a certain amount of pressure as well, trying to do it all. So, preparing yourself for the day and maybe trying to get in a right mindset when you're trying to do it all and it's not necessarily feeling like it's working.
Yeah.
It can add a certain amount of pressure. To answer your question with regards to AB, AB's on call. I've got a psychologist to look after this. Brooksy's my real estate psychologist to look after basically fucking everything, to talk me off the cliff. But I don't think I could do what I do without you.
Mate.
Or with both
Thank
of you,
you,
but if we're
but-
talking about the mental side of it, you're a feather in my cap, along with my wife. It's a big asset. I don't think you know how big, but I do appreciate it. And Sam just tells me to work harder and fucking get over it. And you do the opposite.
The chalk and cheese, mate.
That's what
It's
makes
the
it
yin
work.
and yang.
Yeah, but that's what makes you clowns really good at what you do.
I tell everyone, come to me for real estate if you want to cry.
Yeah.
Next door.
Yeah, exactly. And you throw Nath in there as well. You guys all bring something different into HPC, and I think you each have your roles, and I think they're quite well defined. So you do that quite well.
Thanks, mate.
Because Nathan's not here. Can you define
Oh,
Nathan's
he's a
role?
massive prick. I thought he was here.
Yeah, he's here somewhere.
He's here somewhere.
You got chat GT.
Yeah, just hang on a sec. I'll find out.
Mate, so if you're a young agent in the industry or you're just getting started, you want to build a long-term career, what advice would you give them about database work, building relationships?
I don't think it's take the young out of your question, because it's not a young thing. Like, I started this process when I was 41 up here, so far from a spring chicken. But you've got to have a process. You have to have a plan versus, like I said before, we met at whatever surf club it was for a beer. I told you what I wanted to do and you said, I got the perfect thing for you. You had a plan for what I already had in my head. And then we just doubled it and did it. But that process is just that layering type prospecting work that I still do 3 years in. I don't think I'll ever stop it. Like, I don't drop the brochures anymore, but we still do the bulk of that process. But I think the management of those things, that discipline into consistency, into resilience, and then into planning that sacrifice, it's not as simple as, what would you do from a systems and a procedure point of view? Because if you do all of those things well with the prospecting and the layering, you're going to need to understand all of those. And if you don't, that's when you'll come unstuck. And I think I was pretty fucking planned, and I still come unstuck. And it changes as the years go, when you need an assistant or a sales associate or a PA or whatever it is, and you can't do those certain things, or you want to try to get some sort of balance back in your life and get to know your kids and your missus again. I think it starts with the plan, but the management of that process, is a team effort, not my personal team with my sales associate and a PA, but you guys as directors, like when you came to me last year to talk about set the tone, I'm assuming you were asking me because no one else fucking did it, or not to my level anyway.
No one's done it to your level, no.
So it's not just
I think people pick and choose, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about pick and choose your sacrifice. Like, people pick and choose parts of it where the only thing that you didn't do on that whole thing was the door knocks, but you doubled the other side of it. So, we can bear that cross on that side. I think Brooksy's first point earlier was around you're very coachable. And I think that's an important step, because I don't know whether you remember, but I think very early on you're like, mate, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, my missus is going to hate me. And I said, well, mate, you need to sit down with Rach and get buy-in.
I think you asked if you also wanted to sit down with my wife
Yeah.
as well. And I'm like, I don't think that'll go down too fucking well.
You're the enemy right now.
Yeah.
You deal with already.
But yeah, I remember that. And sometimes if you don't have the support of your support network, this would be the world's worst industry.
Oh,
But I think it's like a live document, because as your database grows, like we've got a pretty good database, I suppose. It's very, very clean, and we put a lot of time into it to keep it that way. But as you build and grow and do the deals, like we want to do 50 odd deals this year, regardless of the start that we've had, which has been pretty fucking slim. But that goal effectively hasn't changed. But like the process and the systems behind it all is a bit of a live document, a bit of a growing plan, I suppose. In that conversation with Rach, we revisit it every 6 or 12 months, or when I have some sort of fucking vague out or a spaz out and I don't feel myself, then the conversation I have with Rach is, you need to talk to Brooksy, you need to talk to your psychologist, we need to talk more. And I'm like, okay. But I think it's not just the layering or the set the tone. I think it all has to come into play. And I think if someone's going to give it a red hot crack, like that person, young or old, that's coming into it, and they're going to do it and just not stop doing it, it changes as it goes, is what I'm trying to say.
agreed. Well,
The GOAT,
yeah.
the GOAT of definitely
Very
of
goatish.
of set the tone, of databasing,
Oh,
of
mate.
pipeline.
Machine,
There's
motor,
no one.
energy, disciplines, focus,
Yeah. If he,
mate, you're a black belt in real estate.
yeah, if he started drinking beers again, he'd be a hell of a bloke.
No,
I don't think that's a good idea.
He's too busy. He's too busy.
Mate,
Any more kids on the horizon?
Trying
we got
to give a couple away if you want any.
we got our rapid fire GOAT round.
All right. Okay.
Great.
Jack or James?
Jack.
Oh, okay. No, I was just wondering. That's an inside joke, everybody. Piccolo latte,
Long black.
long black. Yeah, righto. And if you were a real estate method of sale, what method of sale would you be?
A tender.
I'd probably be an auction.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be an option.
Yeah, I'd say you'd be an auction. And when you look at the best agents in the industry, what's the most GOAT-worthy advice that you think sums up?
I think success leaves clues. And I think all the top guys that have done it, like you listen to the podcast and they interview the top 1% or 0.5% of the industry, I think their story is probably better off, going back in time and looking at them 10, 20, 25 years to what they did then to get it right. Like I look at, the Paddies or the Benny Carrolls or the
Carmen and Brad's. Don't name
Carmen's.
names, mate. It's
Yeah, I
killer.
know.
Oh, that's good coming from you.
Naming the top 5 odd in our business, like I look at them and they're all sort of 7+ years in their core areas.
Yep.
And I'm just pretty fucking keen to see where we're going to be when we're in that. We're 3 years in and, at $1 million and a bit. And I think I think that success leaves clues to answer the question.
I think that's pretty good GOAT-worthy advice.
Great go-worthy advice. Can I finish it off on something else? So I think your kids are going to watch this.
Is there any tissues around?
So what do you want to say to them?
At the end of the day, they're my why, and my why has changed over time. But doing what I'm doing now in real estate to get to that top 1% of the game, which will hopefully get there in the next couple of years. Ultimately, the why is to show them that if you, I guess, ultimately dedicate you're everything in doing whatever you're doing, whether it's soccer or professionally or, you know, whatever the process is, that if you give it your all, you will get to the top. And I think the other, yeah, let's just leave it at that because I don't want to cry.
That's what really matters though, right?
Yeah. And I want to be that, show them that, you know, I've been through this. I want to be able to have an educated conversation with them saying that, hey, I've done this. We've done this.
Yep.
We've sacrificed everything.
Yep.
And that's why we've got what we've got. And I think that's a pretty cool thing to
and you are
be able to say.
You're already in the top 1%, brother.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Put that aside. He's in the top 0.001% of humans.
Thanks, boys.
Cool.
Cheers, Birdo.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of One Goat and the Property Guys. Remember, make sure you vote for if they were a goat or a spud during the last episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to YouTube and at Apple Podcasts so that we can keep creating great goat-worthy memories.